So I've been on the lookout for some really good post-black metal albums, and yeah, when I saw this one cross my desk, I got pretty excited. So yeah, let's dive into this one. Chants de l'Aurore, and I really hope I got that one. As I mentioned, I'm really bad with pronouncing, and trying to pronounce things in another language is just ugh. This one comes to you by Alcest. They are a French black metal, post-black metal band from France, and the translation is The Song of Dawn. This is the 7th studio record from the band, and my first, encounter with them. So yeah, they are this kind of within the post-black metal movement that we got from bands like Deaf Heaven, and I think like The Ocean is starting to go that way as well. But these guys got like right on the ground floor back in like 2000, and kind of really started to develop this kind of sound. And from what I understand, this was kind of a solo project from Naiji, I believe it is, and then became a trio with members coming in and out and leaving, and now we're here. So yeah, what really sets these guys apart from other post-black metal bands is their ability to capture the mood, the sound. And I feel as if their intention, their focus is much more in creating atmosphere, creating vibes, than it is on constructing these kind of post-rock soundscapes to be a platform for the black metal that surrounds it. Like, these guys are using the black metal genre, the screams, the growls, the really intensity, as a garnish for more of a post-rock soundscape, and I really, really appreciate this. For a lot of my contemporaries that have trouble with more of the bombastic or heavy or brutal side of, this style of music, I think Alcest, especially on this album, is a lot more accessible. It's got a lot more atmosphere and a lot more accessibility than I feel like some of the band's contemporaries currently have. Now, in some cases, this might turn off a couple of the real die-hard, really like brutal style of metalhead, but I think there's enough sophistication and enough substance on this to even make those who only want the blast beats and only want the heaviest of the heavy to turn their head and to pay a little bit of attention to. One of the things that I really appreciate about this record is that we've got 7 songs over about 44 minutes worth of music, so it's a really digestible chunk, and it provides just enough to get me engaged, get me involved, without holding on too tightly for too long, and I really appreciate that. The other thing that I really like is the balance between these longer stretches of music to really open these songs up, really develop their sound, very similar to a post-rock like Explosions in the Sky or Mogwai, but not so long that I start to get bored or, my mind starts to wander off. We're kind of looking at the sweet spot for this type of music within the 7 or 8 minutes, and there's a number of tracks on here that do that. I think the word of the day for this album is balance. This album is very well balanced in the light and the dark. Like, look at the first track of Komorobi, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm going to trip over every single one of these words. So Komorobi, it starts off with that stereotypical kind of black metal aspect. You have that really quick syncopated beat system that we have within the drums and the bass rhythm, but you have this very airy and very like high up in the sky ethereal soundscapes that we find within the guitar works, the singing styles, and the keyboards. And each one is balanced very well within about the 6.5 minutes that this song starts off with. And it flows very well within the second track of L'Envol, I believe is how I pronounce it. And this one is at the 8-minute mark that allows the song to develop, allows the song to grow, and really like get into those nooks and crannies that I love within the style of music. This track starts off with a little bit of a dirge, we have a little bit of that menace within it, but it very quickly dissipates into this airy, atmospheric, very like ethereal soundscape that I really appreciate. We've got a lot of kind of up in the sky, tangential, very transitional style of music that really like kind of wanders from one moment to another moment to another moment without really having too much of a perch. And in one case, I find this a little bit frustrating, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I don't have those touchstones. I don't have those moments to look forward to or those moments to reflect upon. It just kind of goes from one moment to another moment. But on the other hand, I really like just sitting back and letting these movements of sound wash over me and allowing it just to kind of waft on through. Like it kind of reminds me of deep meditation, where you're not letting any one thought or any one train of idea take root, and you're just allowing everything to kind of wash over you in a very like surface level aspect. But even still, it has such a very powerful build-up and payoff. Once we get to the end of this track, we have those screams, we have those like really guttural music around all of this very ethereal aspect. So again, it's that balance of the light and the dark. Then we come to the longest track on here. I believe it's Amethysty? Oh boy. And this one's the most immediate to me. You know, it's probably the more heavy track on here. It's got that really bombastic drumming style within the rhythm section. And it immediately grabs you. You know, immediately grabs you and it doesn't let you go. And I really appreciate how the song develops and how the song grows. It starts off very heavy and then slowly, progressively gets kind of a little bit more mellow. And then by the end, you know, it kind of brings itself back down again, and I feel as if that's the wind up for the punch, and I really appreciate when a song has that build up and payoff. It has that wind up and punch that really encapsulates kind of the first half of the album. Then we come into a little bit more of the punchier moments with Flame Jamil and Reminiscence. These two tracks, very punchy, very short, 5 minutes and almost 3 minutes respectively. And I like that it just kind of takes a breather after two tracks that are in the 8 minutes. It allows for the structure of this album to just kind of take a quick breath before we get into the two tracks, the two ending tracks, La Fente de la Lune, which I believe is, Elephant of the Moon, which very easily is my favorite track off of this album, you know, and again, it's all about that balance. It has this very intense, very brutal, like, but not like Blast Beats brutal, but brutal in comparison for the rest of the music, drumming style. Like, the guy on the kit is an absolute beast on here that I really want to celebrate. And it starts off with that brutality. We've got the screaming going on in the background, but it's not like completely in your face. It's more for a texture, more for an extra layer on there that allows everything else to kind of stretch their legs and really like explore the space. You know, you kind of have this, again, this balance between the confined tension and the kind of breathable area in the space that everything else is kind of flirting around with. And I love where the song goes. It has a really good build up and payoff that provides for a very satisfying crescendo at the end. And then the album ends with another shorter piece of Le Dieu. I believe I pronounced that one correctly. And it's a really good way of just kind of sending this album off, you know, tying it all off with a bow. So in the end, La Chants de l'Or was a really fun treat for me. You know, I've been really getting into this whole post-black metal movement, and this one was a really good contender. I don't know if I would put it on the same shelf as, say, like The Ocean, which I know people don't necessarily subscribe that they're, you know, the post-black metal, but even like Death Heaven, where I probably would go to them first before I go to this one, but this one still has this maturity about it. You know, it's kind of got this polish and sheen to it that I feel like some of those other albums are a little bit more raw, you know, a little bit more sharp in that sense. I think that this is a really good introduction to this genre of metal, and this is one that I've been really enjoying, and it really surprised me, especially for, you know, this big dirge that I thought this album was going to be. It turned out to be a quite pleasant listen. So yeah, I love this one. So in the end, I will say La Chants de l'Or by Alcest is one that I would absolutely download. You know, it's the perfect size and the perfect length for the music that's coming into. I think this is a really good addition to their catalog, and it made me excited to go back and re-listen to some of their other works. So hey, they have a new fan on their hands, and you're looking at them right here. So that's what I've got for Alcest's album, La Chants de l'Or. What did you guys think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. That's what I've got for you guys today. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.